Welcome to Fitch Painting and Repairs Garage. Today's project, my 1986 VT700c Shadow. This is my sidecar project bike. I just disconnected the sidecar. Got the bike up on the lift. Got the sidecar just put away over there. She's tucked away. Reason for it is we're having some performance issues on the bike. She is not wanting to run above 60 mile an hour. Got to give it hell to accelerate up above 60 mile an hour with the sidecar attached to the bike. And I know what the problem is I got issues with the carburetors. It's got a dual carburetor setup in this particular machine. The carburetor setup on it is unique to the 86 and 87 VT700c and also the 88 VT800c. And what they've got is you have this external air box on it, and in behind this panel, this tube right here connects to the backbone of the bike. And the backbone of the bike is a big hollow tube, and it has two spigots that hang down off of it that the carburetor is attached to. And you really can't see it on this one because the gas tank, the way it's mounted on here, it gets it kind of shoved up in there. But you have two carburetors, one mounted here on the spigot for the front cylinder, and then there's another one, and they're set up kind of in a staggered V. And then you have two spouts that come down off of the top of the backbone, off the bottom of the backbone, off that top rail. And it's a big old tube, you know, a big old hollow tube that the air intake system runs through. And what I'm having a problem is these boots here, which are what they call the intake boots, intake manifold spigot flanges. You can get these no problem. The ones that you can't get are the ones that mount on the top of the carburetor, and they mount to that spigot, and the carburetor is a bigger diameter than the spigot, and they also have a tiny little bend in them. Previous videos I might have covered it. I did an engine swap on this bike, and what happened was the bike, I had, if you guys haven't watched the videos, previous videos, I had pulled the engine off because I was getting some leaking right here where the cams, these rubber plugs on the cams, and what was happening was on this one on this side, and then on the other side it was leaking oil down in on the spark plug, and then it seeped down past the threads and fell out the plug. And so I wanted to change these gaskets up here, so I got an entire top end gasket kit. I got an entire engine kit actually, just in case I had to split the cases and all that. And I tore the top end down, measured everything, and everything was really close to being in spec. Now the motor had well over 150,000 miles on it. The speedo had been changed out a couple times, and I ran for many years with a broken speedo. So the exact mileage is unknown, but it is definitely over 100,000, over 150,000. And so when I measured it, it was very close to being in spec. My valves were right there at it, and so I started looking into buying new valves, new rings, and all that. And the problem is for the VT700c, those parts are non-existent. You cannot find them. You can't find the intake boots for the carburetors. You can't find rings. You can't find the valves. So I put it all back together, and the bike fired up and ran just fine. Sat here and idled, rev it up on the bench. She was just fine. Take it out down the road, and boom, she started blowing a lot of smoke. And so, yeah, my valve guides are probably completely shot and need to be replaced. But, you know, lapping those valves and putting them back in, you know, it probably just destroyed the valve guides. So we'll have to press in the valve guides, and what I'm looking for is a shop that could possibly will go to an 800 on the engine. The original engine's down there underneath the bench, tucked away. I bought this one on eBay and plugged her in there so I can keep riding the bike. I love the bike, and I didn't want it to just be sitting there as a broke down bike, so I went ahead and got another engine just in case. And if I can't get the cylinders bored out and go up to like 750 or 800 cc's and have the heads redone, then maybe I'll look for a top end rebuild, cylinders and heads and everything off of one of the 800s and see if I can't swap that out, and or just find a used set of low mileage, because these are good. So, and I think part of what might have happened was when I put it back together, one of the shims might have stuck to the bucket on the valve, and when I pulled it apart and pulled everything apart and put it in the thing, one of them shims might have gotten lost. So there's a whole valve lash procedure you got to do to this thing. It's a big pain in the ass and bleeding out the hydraulic lifters in it, and it's a big pain in the butt to do. And eventually I'll do it. But for right now, what we're going to do is we got to pull the carbs off, because when we had that engine swap issue and put the carbs on, I damaged my original carburetors. Bought a used set, rebuilt set online. Got them. They were messed up. Sent them back. The guy said he went back through them. Sent them back to me. Same issue. And what it was is leaning out on the rear cylinder. It was not firing. Wasn't getting any fuel through the carburetor. It was just bop, bop. It was only wanting to run on one cylinder. And seeing as how I had swapped the engine and I hadn't tested the engine yet, I wasn't sure if it was the carburetors or it was actually the engine. And so to test my theory, I patched the hole that I had knocked into the throttle body on my carburetors with some JB Weld, and then the hole that got poked into the diaphragm, I just smeared a little bit of sealant on that and fixed the hole and put it all back together. Just fired it up to see if this engine was good. Well, lo and behold, I fired it up and she ran great. I took it out for test ride. No smoking, no nothing. So my original carburetors were good. But I have not gone back in and fixed those diaphragms. So I think that's the problem I'm having. It very well could be that those upper boots are really leaking and are cracked so bad that it's just leaning out real bad. I got to pull the plugs and see the condition of the plugs. I'm kind of thinking I might have a real lean condition on one cylinder and a rich condition on the other cylinder. So, but I'll verify with that and I'll pull it all apart. So the reason the bike got separated originally is because the clutch, it wasn't, you let out the clutch and boom, she was engaging right away. She was lurching, she was creeping. And so I had to check the hydraulic fluid and bleed the hydraulic reservoir and slave cylinder out. And when I opened it up, I found that it was pretty much empty. So I bled it out and test rode the bike, and the clutch is working just fine now. So what I'm going to end up having to do to get these carburetors out, it's a major pain in the butt on this bike. Seats got to come off. I got to take the gas tank off. Right and left side foot controls, the exhaust, the radiator's got to come out and or at least disconnected from the bottom and swung out of the way. And then this side of the frame detaches. Behind this bracket here is a couple Allens, and then right down here, and this whole side of this frame comes off. And what I have to do is disconnect these motor mounts here, and then one down. I got one here, and then I got one up here. I'll take those two out. You guys really can't see what I'm saying, so let's get where you can see. There's one right in here, right here. That's the top rear. This is the bottom rear. We'll loosen the bottom rear, but leave it intact. Take out the top rear. Take out the front rear. Take off the radiator, exhaust, foot controls, and all that. And then what I can do is lower the engine down as far as I can get it with it still in the frame, and that gives me just enough clearance to be able to get the set of carburetors out. Now, very tight tolerances on this, and the upper boots, when you loosen the clamps on it, you can actually slide those boots upwards on those spigots that are on the upper frame rail and you loosen the ones on the carburetor, loosen the ones on the top, and then slide them up, and that gives you about, you know, a half inch or so of clearance, and then you can pop it off the lower, you know, pop the spigots off the lower intake manifold and work it out. Disconnecting the throttle cables also, you know, disconnecting the choke cable and getting those out. And then we can get those carburetors out and when disassemble it, go through it, change out the diaphragms. I already have the diaphragms. I'm going to start looking to see if I can find somebody that can manufacture a set of those intake boots for the top. You know, they're a hard rubberized material, and it's got to be fuel resistant and heat resistant, because it sits on top of the carburetor and those get really hot. And the fact that they sit on top of the open throat, you have fuel vapor mist that will get on them, and it will deteriorate them over time if, you know, you use the wrong kind of material. So that's what we're doing. That's what we've got going on. As we get into it, we'll do some more videos and we'll keep you guys up. Now, I had some questions from some people in regards to the drifter. Lori, I believe your name was, 96 Vulcan. If you want to reach out to me and talk to me about that second gear situation, you know, if this is something that you want to do yourself, you know, maybe I can, you know, help you out in regards to that. You know, I love to see other people working on their own machines, you know, absolutely awesome. That's one of the reasons I do what I do. I love vintage motorcycles. I'm a Harley technician. I work on everything, metrics. This here is my original, very first street machine that I ever bought. It was bought brand new by my father, and I've owned it since 1994. And this is the second engine. So I got a few things I need to do to it. I'm looking for a front rotor for it and them intake boots. And there was one other issue I had. What was that? Oh, I need to change out my clutch reservoir. The handle control is worn out. 150,000 miles. It's shot. They're original. So I need to go through and change out all my hand controls. I'm going to probably switch over to a 1-inch setup, and that way I can run 1-inch bars and all that. So stay tuned, you know. If you guys want more information, you got a specific machine that you want me to cover, you know, hit me up. You know, if there's a specific, you know, something that you got questions about, you know, let me know. You know, I'll see if I can answer them. You know, I am a trained technician. I get paid to do what I do. I'm willing to help give some advice. And no means do I say that I know the right way. I'm learning every day just like you guys are. Every single day is a learning opportunity for me. You know, there's always something that I come across that I've never done before. So, but I do have a lot of experience. I'm highly trained. So, you know, if you got some questions, you know, this is what I do, and this is what's worked for me. If you want to try it, by means, you know, by all means, go ahead and try. So stay tuned, and we'll try to let you guys in on this whole process. You know, it's going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt. Now I'm going to have a few choice words to say about the machine, but, you know, walk away, take a break, come back at it, and we'll just keep on trying. Stay tuned.